Hey Ian, so great to have you here. Great pleasure for me to
Hi,
have.
Wagner. How are you?
All fine, all great. We're doing, as we discussed before, some tutorials for teachers or people that perhaps are singers and then they're looking for teaching. I would like you to, teacher to teacher,
Sure.
things you can share with people for then people like teach better or organize the thoughts or have better ideas. So let's start with some teachers asked me about students are asking for having a beautiful voice right away. It's difficult to deal to negotiate with the student. What's your thoughts about it? How do you do?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very real and very interesting scenario that singing teachers can find themselves in. Um, I can be very, very general about this
Hmm.
in terms of I would say that it's usually an issue I have more with my female clients than it is with my male clients, I would say. And I think there's lots of kind of socioeconomic, cultural, political discussions that could be had around that.
Hmm.
But essentially, one of our jobs as a singing teacher is trying to marry up what we hear with the expectation and the information that the singer gives us. So often, a singer may say, "I really want to work on my belt register,"
Hmm.
for example,
Hmm.
or "I need more volume in my voice," let's say.
Hmm.
And we're like, "Okay, great." And so we do an assessment of the voice just to see where everything is at. And we're like, "Yeah, absolutely." So this is happening at your first bridge, or this is happening in your chest voice, for example, and therefore we need to do this and this in order to give you what it is that you're wanting. And they're like, great. And so we do this and this. And then instantly, what tends to happen, especially around the idea of belting, for example, is I feel like I'm shouting,
Yeah.
is usually the first kind of feedback that we get back. And I tend to go straight for the jugular on this,
Hmm.
if I'm perfectly honest with you. I've spent years kind of trying a beat around the bush approach, but I think it's just best just to try and nip it in the bud straight away. And so we have an honest conversation about shouting,
Hmm.
um, to the point where I'd even say, "Shout at me, come on, show me a shout, and let's talk about the differences between a shout." Shouting, say, angrily at somebody, or even shouting to get someone's attention across a busy space.
Hmm.
And then we talk about how these two things are very, very different. And essentially, the next comeback I tend to have after we've had that conversation is, well, I'm not sure I like the sound.
Okay.
And right, okay, so what do we mean by that? And usually, what this comes down to is that I want to make sounds that are being perceived as being beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where we have the most interesting conversations, I think. And my position on this is to very quickly try to move away from the idea of singing and then explore the concept of just making noise.
Okay.
And as humans, we are very, very capable of making a wide spectrum of different noises. But there is, especially in Western music, a kind of a cultural norm that has sprung up as to what is
Yeah.
perceived as being an acceptable sound or not, right?
Hmm.
And we have to kind of put that to one side for a moment and say, right, in order to get your voice into a place where it feels very balanced, it feels even very neutral, we have to explore the extremes of the voice. So, what are the softest, quietest, gentlest, darkest tones that you can make in your voice versus what are the loudest, brightest, ugliest, obnoxious tones that you can make in your
Hmm.
voice? Because that willingness to explore both ends of these spectrums is the surefire way to actually finding a middle ground um, that we can move from,
Super.
essentially. So, the biggest advice I can give to singing teachers and to singers is don't be afraid to pursue the extreme sounds in the voice. And by extreme, I'm not talking about like metal, distortions, those kinds of things. I'm talking about sound, tone, and it is, only in that exploration of the sounds a singer can make, I believe, are we going to find that middle ground. So for anyone out there who's worried about not sounding beautiful or pretty or whatever, I would say, try as much as you can to put that to one side because you need to explore every aspect
Yeah.
of sound that you can make, basically.